No matter how you spin it, 2020 was horrible for a lot of us. And whatever is going on this year and the year after, I just hope things have gotten better. I know I've done my part. But with our time in quarantine, we each did something to occupy our time as we followed stay-at-home orders and not protest over it. You know. But let's admit it, we all watched some random shows on whatever streaming source we paid for, or something just to save the money the government gave us. Maybe one of you, like me, had this one show, most likely an anime, that you've seen reviews of and maybe got an episode or two airing on TV that impressed you enough to consider checking it out, but you never bothered to check out until you suddenly got all this free time and you decided to watch it, and then it entertains you so much that you, okay, I'm just gonna cut the sappiness. We're reviewing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure! Now, for those who don't know, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a popular manga series that started in Weekly Shonen Jump that is about the Joestar family having to encounter the supernatural and such, and it has become a very popular franchise. But admit it, you probably didn't really pay too much attention to it until the 2012 anime that has faithfully adapted the original manga in all its glory. Now, I should note that I'm a new fan and would have spent this whole video in cosplay as my favorite JoJo, but can't due to how long this video ended up taking to work on and the drawing process since, well, some memory problems happened, so remember to always have backups and not accidentally delete things. Okay? Okay, but seriously, I just can't help becoming a fan since I get into stories with fun characters, and this series is just brimming of them, along with the craziness they go through. Tensions that a certain someone from Hollywood that should really consider retirement from filmmaking just can't hope to replicate, and references to bands or singers that maybe want to try to introduce this series to my mom since she'll get a lot of those references. Also, like that Avatar video I made earlier, it's just some speculation about the future of the series, which I'm pretty much anime only at this point and probably would have binged the entire manga so far if there was a legal source that I can use to read manga on the go, especially since I want to support the manga artists in Japan, and I just really would like something up to date and not be dependent on physical releases just to release chapters. But that didn't stop me from buying at least one video game related to the franchise and having to secondhand fandom the manga parts that are yet to be animated. So I'm exposed to a few spoilers and the premise of those parts that maybe look forward to reading or watching them. Now, I do like every part that has been animated so far, and for the parts that have yet to be animated that I am going to look forward to being familiar with, here's a quick rundown. But I won't be talking about Stone Ocean since that anime's coming out and I want to form my own opinions on it, and well, I am not gonna watch it unless this video is done. So if this video is released on YouTube, it means I'm gonna be watching Stone Ocean. Well, you guys probably watch this video and comment if you can. Now, if I were to describe to you what Steel Ball Run is without saying that it appears to be a Wild West pseudo remake of Phantom Blood that just happens to include stands, I could probably risk being put on an FBI watch list. It's nice to see a stable protagonist though, but I worry about some ableist content. JoJolion is essentially a pseudo remake of Diamond is Unbreakable, I think, but wasn't really necessary to have another Josuke Kashida. That makes things really confusing in JoJo talks. And the mangaka Hiroki Araki seems to be exploring things he wanted to explore in part 4, but couldn't thanks to the editors at the time. Also, at least one thing I learned about what happens in part 8 makes me wonder how parts 4 and 5 would have went if it weren't for the editorial department. Speaking of the most recent part of JoJo, It's ended recently. In part 9, Jojo Lands has been announced, which is actually good timing with part 6, Stone Ocean getting its anime, and we wouldn't want Archie to be continuing Jojo Land by the time Steel Ball Run got animated, and he will be in a stressful position to finish up part 8. Now, how about part 9, Jojo Lands? Now, I've heard he has some ideas for this potential part, but I'm still gonna do my own speculation on it. And if he were just to cancel this part and just have the series end at part 8, I won't be too hard on him, since if the death of the Berserk author showed us anything, it's that the life of mangaka can be very stressful and we should keep an eye on our health and well-being. But that won't, and yes, I'm gonna still speculate this, and let's just jump into it. Now, I don't know for sure, but anything that claims that the 9th JoJo has been established, I just took as clickbait or trolling. So, I'm just gonna put this out there. I think it'd be neat if JoJo number 9 is a lady.
But there's not enough Joe names for girls. Female main protagonists in Joan series suck, and there's no way Araki would make another Lady JoJo after the disaster that was Joe.
Yakamashi! Look, there are plenty of Joe names for girls, even though Araki would have to improvise if he wants a more Japanese protagonist. Although he could make Shizuka Joestar that invisible baby from part 4 of the JoJo part 9, but we can't be sure about that since he is less likely to return to the main continuity. And as a joke in the fandom goes, he probably forgot about her and doesn't have the motivation to look at any previous notes about her. Oh, and not to mention that just because a shonen series has a female protagonist doesn't mean it's going to be bad regardless of whether or not it's published in Jump. They can be just as good as anything with a traditional male hero. Also, even though I do want to wait for the anime to judge Jolene on my own standards, she is considered a milestone for a female shonen protagonist, and I mean, Araki literally told the editors he wasn't going to make a part 6 unless he could make the JoJo of that part a girl. And somehow the editors still had a problem with her and may have pushed the series in a direction that some fans were not happy about and probably should have been focused more on helping Araki figure out a way to get Josuke and Giorno involved this part somehow. Heck, I could think of how that could work without demeaning Jolene's protagonist status. And you're looking at the way that doesn't involve Giorno dying. Either way, whether they live up to their potential as the protagonist who tries to be the very best they can be in a well-written series, or good protagonists even though their story doesn't seem to go in the right direction in the end, or had a good start in their series until the creators decided to waste that potential in favor of some stupid reasons, I still think Araki-sensei should give himself another go at writing a female protagonist. I mean, if we can have more than one blonde JoJo and literally 2 JoJos with the exact same name, God, that can be confusing. Why not have another female JoJo? The best we're gonna expect from her is that she be different enough from Jolene in both personality and character design, while still being a decent shonen protagonist. Not to mention, there is this fun joke if both the JoJos of part 6 and 9 are ladies. Nice. Well, it seems that with how Steel Ball Run and JoJoing are pseudo remakes of previous parts, part 9 could be a pseudo remake of a previous part as well, but which part should it be? It's gonna be Stone Ocean. If it is a pseudo remake, it's probably gonna be Stone Ocean. I mean, judging by my secondhand fandom experience with the parts that haven't been animated yet, every JoJo of the first continuity up to Giorno has their equivalent show up in this continuity of Steel Ball Run and JoJoian. And we have not heard or seen a slight hair of Jolene's AU counterpart so far, so it's a safe bet to expect it to be a remake pseudo-ly of Stone Ocean, and that's progress for the video I had about other potential subjects that really needed to be recycled for background stuff. So anyway, assuming that Part 9 will be another studio remake, it's likely going to be Stone Ocean, and I'm not just saying that because I want another Lady Jojo. It's probably just because I read this one fan comment about JoJolian that it gave Aoki-sensei a chance to explore things he wanted to touch upon in Part 4, but couldn't because he was forced to end that storyline early than he wanted to. So, if there's anything he wished he'd done differently in Stone Ocean, including that ending I heard that I will hope gets changed in the anime or something that Araki least approves of, making Part 9 Jojo Lands a pseudo remake of Part 6 won't be so bad. Heck, the anime is probably going to be hearing when he starts working on Part 9, or at least releases it. I'm thinking about that number again. One thing that could just be something that either came out of the horse's mouth or is just some fan theory about what to expect from Part 9 is that it could evolve a Part 0. And I only mention this because it intrigues me. A Part 0. You know, a sort of prequel to Phantom Blood that could explore things that supposedly led up to the beginnings of Dio causing problems for a good-hearted family that welcomed him in, and he decided that they suck and he hated them and wanted to cause problems for them, even though they never really done anything to them. But I will admit, the dude has charisma, but that shouldn't be an excuse to let him win in the end. Maybe the artist he was named after actually appreciated the fact that got a character named after him before he died. Okay, but a Part 0 could play out like a Shakespearean tragedy, but with stands and all that JoJo flair. Heck, we can even include the cross-dressing! But if I were to be honest about Part 0, I would prefer it to be its own manga that's just long enough to get adapted into a single movie. At least assuming that movie doesn't have one of its investors die and then their widow forces the animation company making it to refund the investment with interest, causing the end result to be so bad that Haruki had everything related to the movie burned with little piece of it surviving so people know that it was a thing that happened. But the best I can hope for from a Part 0 is that it's a story within the story of Part 9 that's somehow on a diegetic level or something. But assuming we end up with a Part 0 as our Part 9, we can all expect some certain changes to an ending, or at least hope for them, like Jojo Zero ends up becoming some sort of god and is not like the god Dio was. They're just usually minding their own business, checking out occasionally on their descendants and having some fandom reactions to their actions. And then when that thing that the fans have a problem with happens, they would have to give up their godhood to just undo it, just make it not happen, like, and still have the canon's ending while still having the fandom ending that we personally wanted, and just have that also be canon and such. But we can only dream. Now, I can assume that when a franchise is long-running enough, fans can point out tropes that it has invoked multiple times, and then we see how cliche they are, and with every new part has a chance of being self-aware of those tropes enough to have a chance to poke fun of them, or at least have some meta humor about it, and even subvert them. If I actually allowed these videos to have clips about fear of copyright bots, you'd be seeing some clips from Power Rangers doing what I said, and the few good clips of recent Disney movies that do the same while also not bugging me too much about it, is Hopefully not a live-action remake. Yada yada, they need to stop. Now, am I pointing out some tropes that have become cliche in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure that Haruki should probably subvert or poke fun of in some metatextual fashion? Just one. I want a dog character that doesn't die. I mean, Haruki has stated that dogs get killed just to show off how evil some characters can be. Dio still shouldn't have one. But he did it so often that it became cliche, and some people don't seem to pay attention when Cars saved a puppy, or the fact that there was one dog in part 4 that didn't get killed. And there was some joke about it not being dead or something. Well, it would just be nice to have another stand using dog. One who gets to live to see the end of the storyline. In the JoJo, that part is like that one Brooklyn Nine-Nine meme with the puppy. And it's always just one canine death away from going John Wick on everyone. Wouldn't that be fun? Although now I'm starting to think that we should have werewolves in JoJo. That should be a thing. Above all, I think my biggest expectation for Part 9 is that it continues the JoJo tradition of being entertaining. I mean, the series was just something that existed at first to me, and now I kind of wish I got into it back in my budding otaku days, especially if it meant that Viz Media would have more of the manga published and translated. But with how checking this series out has helped me survive 2020 in a way, it kind of helped some creative sparks in me too, so above all, thank you, Jojo. どうもありがとうございました。アクリア先生。